The Cradazian, all bristling scales and battle-worn armor, blinked down at the human who'd just crashed into his side. Humans were a recent addition to the teeming markets of the Nexus 5 trade station, and the Cradazian had limited experience with their kind. They were small, soft, their voices squeaky in comparison to his own rumbling growl. "I'm so sorry," the human squeaked, face flushing pink. "I wasn't paying attention." The Cradazian blinked again. Was that an apology for an accidental bump? He opened his mouth, then shut it. It was an apology, the translator confirmed. Yet he'd done nothing to warrant it. No insult dealt, no challenge issued. "It is of no consequence," the Cradazian finally managed, his voice rusty with disuse. This type of verbal exchange was simply not done in his culture. The human, however, merely nodded eagerly. "Okay, great, sorry again." Then it turned and scuttled off, disappearing into the swirling mass of alien bodies. The Cradazian stared after it, a sense of unease prickling at his scales. That interaction had been wrong. He wasn't weak, hadn't backed down, yet the human's words lingered like a missed blow. The incident wasn't unique. Private Jensen, newest recruit on the diplomatic envoy to the Varaxian Empire, found himself apologizing profusely for the existence of dust. "Sorry about this," he mumbled, waving a cloth half-heartedly at a pristine chrome console that reflected his sheepish face. "Seems to get everywhere on this ship." The four-eyed Varaxian supervisor tilted her multifaceted head. "The dust is inconsequential. It is the expected result of matter in motion." Jensen nodded. Right, of course. Still, sorry." He left, puzzled by the wave of irritation rising from the Varaxian. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Humans apologized after winning duels. "Sorry you had to lose like that." They apologized to their malfunctioning tech. "It's okay, I know you're trying your best." They even apologized when a Gaussian battlecruiser accidentally rammed their shuttle. "Sorry to be in the way." The rest of the galaxy was baffled. Was it mockery? Some bizarre, passive-aggressive dominance ritual? A sign of a species so weak they preemptively apologized to avoid conflict? Conspiracy theories bloomed on galactic forums. The whispers about humans had always been there, frail, odd, obsessed with soft things called pets. But now, the word sorry echoed through the corridors of power. A trade envoy on Centuria Prime witnessed a human ambassador profusely apologizing in the middle of stalled negotiations. Within moments, the atmosphere shifted. The Centaurian delegates, initially fuming, seemed to deflate, their voices losing their offended edge. On a dusty backwater research outpost, Dr. Zylara, a Varaxian sociologist, set aside her dissection of a rare insectoid species and turned her multifaceted eyes towards the humans. Her translator crackled with the word sorry, more often than with any other phrase. With a scientist's curiosity overriding her natural disdain for the soft-bodied creatures, she began to investigate. Her work was meticulous. She observed humans in social situations, recording their behavior and verbal patterns. She ran brain scans on willing and slightly confused human subjects. Bit by bit, she began to unravel the mystery. "It is not weakness," Dr. Zylara announced to her skeptical colleagues. "It appears to be an ingrained neurological response. They call it empathy." She carefully projected a 3D simulation of the human brain, highlighting areas that lit up when the apology was offered. A recognition of the inherent impact one has on another being. The scientific community buzzed with a mix of astonishment and revulsion. "Impact is the basis of power," exclaimed a Cradazian geneticist. "To apologize is to surrender it." Yet Dr. Zylara's findings couldn't be denied. Humans apologized when they'd caused pain, even unintentional. They apologized for circumstances beyond their control. Some even apologized for successes, as if acknowledging the potential envy they might cause. It was unnerving, and yet undeniable. The implications seeped into galactic society. A Gaussian warship, about to fire on a malfunctioning human freighter, stopped when its captain received a transmission. "Hey, so sorry about our engines giving out on you like that. Our bad, totally." The Gaussian admiral roared in frustrated amusement and ordered a tow instead of destruction. A human merchant, caught in a blatant lie, apologized not for the lie, but for forcing the Valorian trader into the corner of accepting or accusing. The Valorian, accustomed to deception as a business norm, was disarmed. They renegotiated and, oddly, found better terms for both. This was the point where the story could split. Should it become a tale of the apology revolution, or should humans discover its strategic value and keep it close to their chests? Dr. Zylara, ever the scientist, yearned to share her discovery. "Think of the possibilities," she proclaimed at a pan-galactic symposium. "Empathy, a galaxy less defined by conflict, more by cooperation." She was met with stares of disbelief, scoffs from the Credasians, and narrowed eyes from the trade-savvy Valorians. "You want us to weaken ourselves?" hissed a Centaurian negotiator. Her seminars on the language of apology flopped spectacularly. Frustrated, she returned to her outpost, only to find an extraordinary sight. The humans, usually so free with their sorries, were strangely silent among themselves. A young lieutenant caught her gaze and offered a wry smile. "Seems like some lessons the galaxy isn't ready for, Doctor," he said. "Meanwhile, we've got a few tricks up our sleeves." And indeed, the humans were learning. In hushed meetings, ambassadors shared the unexpected effects of an apology, a well-placed sorry smoothed over tense disarmament talks. A merchant, known for honest dealings and the occasional strategic apology, found themselves with unusually favorable trade pacts. Humans weren't becoming the galaxy's doormats. They were, in their own subtle way, becoming negotiators, peace weavers, and surprisingly shrewd players in the grand galactic game. Their sorries still baffled most species, but they weren't the weapons of surrender the galaxy had feared. They were bridges, clumsily built, strangely effective, leading to a future where perhaps sorry wouldn't be quite so alien a concept. Centuries passed. Humans weren't galactic overlords. The galaxy wasn't a utopia of understanding. Wars still flared, fueled by old hatreds and hunger for resources. Yet something had shifted. There was a hesitancy before full-scale conflict. An extra round of talks others scoffed at, but often yielded unexpected compromises. On the battle-scarred surface of Kradax IV, in a tent woven with the metallic threads of 100 conquered worlds, a Credasian warlord faced his greatest human rival, General Eric Lee. They'd clashed across a dozen star systems, respect growing alongside grudging hatred. "You apologize too much," the warlord rumbled, his translator struggling to keep pace with the guttural Credasian. General Lee inclined his head slightly. "I've learned some of your customs are different, warlord. Still, a habit formed young." The warlord snorted, the sound like rockfall. He had studied humans, puzzled out some of their contradictions. "It gives you an advantage. We expect weakness instead. Calculation?" Lee met his gaze unflinchingly. "Perhaps. Or perhaps," she added with a small, distinctly human smile, "it simply helps me sleep better at night, knowing I acknowledged another's perspective." The silence stretched. Finally, the warlord grunted. Unnerving but not unappreciated. Your apology 3 cycles ago about the civilian convoy, it influenced decisions. I am. Lee coughed, the word catching oddly in his throat. I am glad. It was not peace, not yet. But it was a pause, a sliver of possibility carved from battlefields and littered with the strange small word. Sorry.